The Praxis Core Academic Skills for Educators mathematics exam isn't hard because the math is advanced. It's hard because it puts familiar skills under a timer. If you've ever thought, I know this, so why am I stuck? You're not alone. This exam rewards smart choices as much as correct answers. Welcome to the Praxis Test Prep channel. I'm Sandra Matthews, and I hold a doctoral degree in education, and I'm a test prep expert with Study.com. In this video, we'll work through example problems for all three content areas, and I'll show you how to spot question difficulty fast, when to skip and flag, and how to use a calculator without wasting time. Let's get started. The Praxis Core Academic Skills for Educators Mathematics Exam Test Code 5733 measures skills in mathematics. The test includes 56 selected response and numeric entry questions, and you have 90 minutes to complete it. You'll have access to an on-screen 4-function calculator. There are 3 content categories. Number and quantity is first. You'll see about 20 questions on this section. Data interpretation and representation, statistics, and probability contains around 18 questions. Expect to see about 18 questions on algebra and geometry. For many future educators, passing the Praxis 5733 is a key milestone. It's often required for certification steps, and it shows you'll have the foundational math skills you'll use in the classroom. But this test isn't just a checkbox. It's designed to confirm you can reason with math. That's why the questions focus on key math skills. When you start to see Praxis 5733 as a test of teaching ready math habits instead of a memorization test, passing starts to feel far more within reach. Let's take a closer look at each of the content areas on the exam. Number and quantity makes up about 36% of the exam. It sets the numerical foundation for everything else you'll see. This section checks whether you understand how numbers behave and whether you can work with them logically instead of mechanically. You'll work with integers, decimals, fractions, ratios, proportions, and percentages, often embedded in word problems that test reasoning rather than heavy calculation. You'll also see constant rate and unit rate questions, where the goal is to compare quantities like miles per hour or cost per item. The math itself is usually simple. What matters is identifying what stays constant and what's being compared. Place value and number ordering appear most often through estimation and comparison. If you can quickly tell which value is larger or whether a result is reasonable, you can eliminate wrong answers without fully calculating. Units and measurement are also part of this section. You're expected to reason with measurements and apply U.S. customary and metric units, sometimes converting between them. The emphasis is on understanding units, not memorizing conversion tables. A fast way to identify question difficulty is to scan the setup. If the problem is mostly numbers with a short prompt, it's usually a good first-pass question. Longer word problems with multiple conditions may take more time and are worth flagging if pacing becomes an issue. For example, suppose you're asked to compare 2 prices to determine which is the better deal. One item costs $18 for 6 units, and another costs $25 for 10 units. The test isn't checking whether you can do long division perfectly, it's checking whether you understand unit rates. You start by finding the cost per unit for each option. Dividing $18 by 6 gives you $3 per unit. Dividing $25 by 10 gives you $2.50 per unit. At this point, the decision becomes clear. Even though the second option has a higher total cost, it's cheaper per unit, making it the better deal. A quick reasonableness check helps here too. 10 units for $25 should cost less per unit than 6 units for $18, so the numbers make sense. Praxis answer choices often include distractors that come from comparing total prices instead of unit rates, so slowing down just long enough to ask, per what, helps you avoid that trap. Calculator strategy matters here. These divisions are simple enough to do mentally, so using the calculator would likely slow you down rather than help. If a question hasn't progressed after about a minute, make a reasonable choice, flag it, and move on. Number problems often feel clearer when you return with fresh eyes. Data interpretation and representation, statistics, and probability is next and accounts for 32% of the exam. This content area focuses on making sense of information, not complex computation. You'll read and interpret tables, graphs, and charts, understand how data corresponds to its representation, calculate measures like mean, median, and mode, and assign probabilities to outcomes. Many questions also require you to make inferences. You won't always be asked to read a value directly. Instead, you'll need to recognize patterns, trends, or what the data implies. A quick way to identify difficulty here is to ask whether the question is about calculation or interpretation. Interpretation questions often look longer, but once you focus on the data instead of the wording, they usually resolve quickly. For example, if a fair coin is flipped twice and you're asked for the probability of getting exactly one head, the fastest approach is to list outcomes mentally. There are 4 equally likely outcomes: 2 heads, 2 tails, head-tail, and tail-head. Exactly one head appears in 2 of them, giving a probability of 1/2. A common trap is multiplying 1/2 by 1/2, which gives the probability of 2 heads instead. The math isn't difficult. Reading carefully is the real skill. Estimation is extremely powerful here. If an average doesn't fall within the range of the data, it can't be correct. If a probability is greater than 1 or negative, it's automatically wrong. The calculator is useful for computing means or reading precise values from a table, but many questions may be answered faster through reasoning. If the calculator isn't clearly saving time, skip it. If the question feels wordy or unclear, flag it and move on. These often make more sense on a second pass. Algebra and geometry is last and makes up the final 32% of the test. It assesses symbolic reasoning, procedural fluency, and spatial understanding. On the algebra side, you'll manipulate expressions, follow arithmetic or algebraic procedures, solve equations, and work through word problems. These questions often test whether you can set up the math correctly before solving. On the geometry side, you'll work with properties of shapes, angles, and coordinate relationships. You'll apply formulas for perimeter, circumference, area, and volume, often in practical contexts. You may also see questions involving congruence and similarity. Congruent figures have the same size and shape, while similar figures have the same shape but different scales. These problems rely heavily on proportional reasoning rather than on formulas. A fast difficulty check here is asking whether you immediately recognize the structure of the problem. If the setup is familiar, it's usually a quick solve. If you're unsure which formula applies or what's being measured, slow down or flag it. For instance, if a rectangle has a perimeter of 36 units and its length is twice its width, and you need to find the area, you can't jump straight to area. You need to find the side length first. So let the width be W and the length be 2W. Perimeter is the distance around the shape. So 36 equals 2 times 2W plus 2 times W. That simplifies to 36 equals 6W. So W equals 6. Now the length is 2W equals 12. And now you can find area. Area equals 12 times 6 equals 72 square units. A helpful habit is checking units. Perimeter uses linear units, area uses square units, and volume uses cubic units. Matching the units to the question can prevent simple mistakes. The calculator is helpful for arithmetic and square roots, but it won't decide which formula to use. Understanding the structure of the problem matters more than speed. Now that you know what the Praxis 5733 is really testing, use this guide as a study tool, not a one-time watch. Each time you return, pick one content area and work the example problem like it's test day. Don't just check right or wrong. Notice why the correct answer works and why the distractors felt tempting. As you review, watch for patterns. Are you misreading the question, rushing setup, overusing the calculator, or spending too long instead of skip and flagging? The awareness is what turns practice into real score improvement. Pair this with timed questions, and after each session, tie your misses back to the strategies here. So your pacing improves, your choices get faster, and your score keeps moving up. And that's a game plan for the Praxis 5733. Practice the skills, spot difficulty fast, and make smart pacing decisions, especially when it's time to skip and flag. Now it's your turn. Pick one content area, do a time set today, and practice one specific habit, either identifying quick wins, using the calculator only when it truly helps, or moving on the moment a question starts to drag. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like and subscribe. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Which content area do you need to brush up on most? Thanks for watching, and good luck on your Praxis journey. You've got this.